Monks were supposed to live the purest lives, but many of them were constantly sick. That shouldn't make sense. They avoided war, ate simple food, lived in discipline. So why were their bodies breaking down faster than everyone else's? Because the very life meant to save their souls was quietly destroying their health. And the worst part? They believed the suffering was a good sign. Monastic life was built on silence, not occasional quiet. Total, controlled silence. Some orders allowed only brief speech during specific hours. Others expected near-complete silence for days. At first, it sounds peaceful, but over time, silence changes you. Without conversation, thoughts become louder. Small worries grow, doubts repeat, fears echo. There was no easy release, no casual distraction, no simple way to process emotion. Monks lived inside their own minds, and not everyone handled that well. Some writings from monasteries describe anxiety, despair, even what we'd now call depression. But they didn't have that word. They called it spiritual weakness and tried to pray it away. Monks followed strict dietary rules. Meat was often forbidden. Meals were simple: bread, vegetables, occasionally fish. It sounds healthy, but the reality was different. Their diet lacked key nutrients. Protein was limited. Fats were inconsistent. Fresh produce wasn't always available, especially in winter. And fasting made things worse. Religious fasting wasn't rare. It was frequent. Long periods with reduced food intake weakened the body. Energy dropped. Immunity declined. Illness became more likely. What looked like discipline was often slow malnutrition. Fasting wasn't just occasional. For some monks, it became extreme. There are records of individuals who reduced food intake far beyond official rules, not because they were forced, because they believed suffering brought them closer to God. Hunger became a spiritual tool, but the body doesn't see it that way. Extended fasting leads to weakness, dizziness, organ strain. Over time, it damages the body. Yet within the monastery, this behavior was often admired. The weaker someone became, the more devoted they appeared. Monks didn't sleep like we do. Their nights were interrupted, often intentionally. Many monastic schedules required waking in the middle of the night for prayer, sometimes around midnight, sometimes earlier. They would rise in the cold, gather in dark halls, and recite prayers for hours, then return to sleep, then wake again at dawn. This fragmented sleep pattern had consequences: chronic fatigue, reduced concentration, and weakened immune systems. But again, this wasn't seen as a problem. It was devotion, sacrifice, endurance. Monasteries were not comfortable places. Stone buildings held the cold. Even in summer, interiors could feel damp. In winter, they became harsh. Heating was limited. Fires were controlled, often restricted. Monks slept in simple rooms, sometimes shared, sometimes barely insulated. Cold air moved through corridors. Moisture settled into walls, and constant exposure to cold environments increased the risk of illness. Respiratory problems were common: coughing, chest infections, long-term weakness. Comfort was not the goal. Endurance was. There's a myth that medieval people never washed. That's not entirely true. Monasteries often had structured washing routines, but there were limits. Water sources could be contaminated. Shared facilities spread illness. Bathing was sometimes restricted for religious reasons, and clothing was not always cleaned frequently. Close living conditions made things worse. Dormitories, shared meals, common workspaces. All of this created ideal conditions for disease to spread, not because monks ignored hygiene, but because their environment made it difficult to maintain. Monks didn't just pray. They worked hard, farming, copying manuscripts, building maintenance, food preparation. Daily labor was part of monastic discipline, and it wasn't light work. Agricultural tasks alone required strength and endurance. Combined with limited food and poor sleep, this created constant strain on the body. There was little recovery time. Fatigue became normal, pain became routine, and over time, The body simply wore down. There was one condition monks feared deeply. They called it acedia. Today we might describe it as depression, burnout, or emotional exhaustion. But for them, it was something spiritual, a loss of motivation, a sense of emptiness, a resistance to prayer. It was considered a dangerous state because it meant drifting away from purpose. But the causes were often physical and psychological: isolation, repetition, lack of stimulation, emotional suppression. All of these contributed. And without understanding the root causes, monks blamed themselves, which only made it worse. Here's where everything becomes more complicated. Sickness wasn't always seen as a problem. It was often interpreted as meaningful, a test, a purification, a sign of spiritual progress. If a monk suffered, it could mean he was growing closer to God. That belief changed everything because it removed the urgency to fix the problem. Pain wasn't something to eliminate. It was something to endure, even embrace. So conditions that would normally trigger change were allowed to continue. Monasteries were tightly connected communities. People lived, ate, worked, and prayed together. This created strong bonds, but it also created risk. When one person became ill, others followed. Infections moved quickly through shared spaces. There was no real isolation system, no understanding of how diseases spread. So, outbreaks could affect entire communities, and with already weakened bodies, recovery wasn't guaranteed. Monastic life was built around an ideal: discipline, purity, detachment from worldly comfort. But the human body has limits. It needs rest, nutrition, warmth, social interaction. When those needs are consistently reduced, the body responds, not immediately, but over time, with weakness, with illness, with decline. The monks weren't failing. Their bodies were reacting exactly as they should. What makes this story unsettling isn't sudden collapse, it's the slowness, the gradual decline. A little less food, a little less sleep, a little more cold, a little more silence, day after day, year after year, until the effects become visible: weakened bodies, frequent illness, shorter lifespans, and all of it happening inside places meant to represent spiritual strength. From the outside, monasteries looked peaceful, orderly, stable, almost timeless. But inside, life was demanding. Physically, mentally, emotionally, it required constant effort, constant discipline, and constant sacrifice. And while some monks thrived in that environment, many paid a quiet price, not through dramatic events, but through slow, steady decline. The monastery promised a path to something higher, a life removed from chaos, a life of purpose. And in many ways, it delivered that. But it also asked something in return, not all at once, not violently, but slowly, silently, piece by piece.